Darren just told me my shoes look like the name Olivia. What does that mean?
Olivia. It's like, because your shoes, now we have to show the shoes. The shoes are a little bit sort of a retro, sort of like, you know, the little Oxfordy kind of little tie thing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the name Olivia, which is an old-fashioned name, but it's adorable now for little girls who are named Olivia. Those are not my shoes. So your shoes are sort of like an adorable little shoe that harkens back to an older, nostalgic time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think it's a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Townsend, get your shoes out of my space.
Someone's trying to horn in on the shoe.
I'll take it as a compliment. What's the name of your shoe?
Mine's Bob. That's about it. Okay. You know, not much to it right there.
Okay, we're on one today.
Welcome to Studio 5. And in case you didn't catch it, there was a little bit of a game over the weekend. Some people calling it a big game.
What game?
Some people call it, I think it was like a horrendous game.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Whichever side you were rooting for, awful game out there.
Yeah, it was pretty painful. I was down there in Provo. Met a lot of great Studio 5 fans and friends, but yeah, it was a painful night. I saw this picture on
by the way, BYU Utah, in case you weren't aware of what was going on here.
My shoe's name is Olivia, and we're talking about BYU Utah game. Yeah, I saw this picture I wanted to share on my friend Justin's Facebook page that pretty much sums up, I think, the whole experience, right? Yeah.
Bringing a BYU stub for a free turnover.
Got a laugh out of it. Some of my diehard Red Utah Ute friends even said it by the end it wasn't even fun for them.
No, it wasn't.
Because you won a game, and darn it, maybe next year.
Much. First half, maybe. Second half, not so much so at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're already looking forward to next year. 364 days or whatever until we get to there.
In the meantime, a great Studio 5 show lined up for you today.
Okay, today on Studio 5, how to become... How to be a natural conversationalist. You know the kind of people, the people that can weave through a conversation with this like seamless grace and ease, you know. They get the flow going.
Like this?
Yeah.
They got the flow. Yeah, they work over words, they smooth over any topic, and they really do talk the talk with expert skill and practice.
Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend brings his shoes along in today. Says that anyone can learn the art of being a natural conversationalist. You have to have 4 things. None of those are shoes.
No. What was all that?
You're weaving, you know, through a conversation. Sometimes we come along, we hit a speed bump, boom, boom, we go over, or we hit a roadblock, we don't know how to get around, in some awkward conversation, you screech on the brakes.
I just did it because he was doing it.
Okay, because see, I don't know what you're talking about. But it doesn't seem natural to me. That's what we're talking about, Darren. That wasn't natural.
That wasn't natural?
Actually, it was. What makes these conversations such a big deal? It seems like we should just do it naturally. You guys talk naturally.
Well, and as I was thinking about this topic, because I think everyone wants to say, yeah, I'm a good communicator, I'm a good talker, I'm a good conversationalist. Yeah. Anyway, it becomes hard when you're talking to people you maybe aren't as comfortable with. Like, I can talk to Darren or you all day because I know you guys, but it's when you don't know someone or you're trying to strike up those first conversations, it can sometimes feel funny.
See, so check it out. That's because you have another motive. If you don't know someone, what's your motive?
To get to know them?
See, as long as you don't have another goal other than just being real, then it's easy. It's easy to if you just want to be real, you can be real. The minute you have to actually accomplish something, like a sales call. Have you ever had someone trying to sell you? Yeah. And it was obviously just not a good conversation. Or the minute you're trying to impress somebody for a date. See, you're not trying to impress us, Brooke. When you're here, you just sit all calm in your funny named shoes, and you're just relaxed, but you're real. So 4 keys to having a good conversation. First key is you got to be real. What do you think I mean? What do you think by real?
Well, obviously not fake, which is obvious, but not pretentious, not trying to hide something, maybe, you know?
Yeah, you got to be you. Like when I commented on your watch that one day, it was just real. Because it was real offensive. It was blaring. It was just, want, say something. So I had to say it. And then when you commented on her shoes, and you said they're like Amish, I thought that was rude.
I thought you said that.
Yeah. Did I say that?
I said they were adorable, old-fashioned retro vintage.
Quaker.
Yeah.
I'm just sad my shoes have become the topic of this conversation.
But to have a real conversation, you got to be you, because the minute you're not being you, it's not going to come off right.
So when do you find that people aren't genuine or they aren't sincere?
When I'm trying to impress somebody, when I know that I need to get something out of this. I'm sure you guys run into people all the time that love you, they're your fan, and they'd love to be on your show, and then they're starting to talk to you in a way that's not real anymore, right? And so the minute they're talking to you in a way that's not real, you know it. Every communication has to go through a part of our brain called the amygdala. It's the fight or flight part of our brain. And it's an early detector. It's the lie detector. It can see if you're full of it. And it's a very subtle thing, but you know when someone's not being real. Okay? So rule number one, you got to be who you are. And if you're not, your body's going to have a reaction to what they're saying or to them.
You can feel physically when you're uncomfortable. So if you're in that situation and you sense yourself not being real, what's the meltdown? How do you take it down?
Then part of it, first of all, I would notice, like, what am I trying to do here? What is my goal?
Check the motive.
If I'm trying to be impressive and try to make a point here, then you're not gonna look as good. So just try to be you. Just literally go back to what is natural to you, and try to find comfort in who you are. See, one of the keys to this is you got to be really good with who you are. To be real, you got to know who you are and know who you're not, know what you're trying to do and know what you're not trying to do. Okay? Second rule is to be curious. What do you think that means?
I mean, that's so self-centered, like asking questions about the other person, maybe?
No, but everybody loves to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So when you're curious, and you're like, oh my gosh, I see this all the time on your Facebook page, by the way. Everyone wants to know who does Brooke's hair, which is so not real. Her hair's not even real, just so you know that.
It's
I mean, I can see it right here. It's a wig. She came in with it backwards, which was totally embarrassing. So it's got to be real. But if I'm curious and I get into you, people like people that are into them. And there's so much to be curious about, really. Like, how did you lose so much weight? Not that you have, but I saw that on Facebook. I've been reading your Facebook pages.
You're a stalker.
I'm learning a lot. And every time you do your hair different, people notice. But they're curious. And what does that say about you if people are noticing?
I don't know. What does it say? We're interesting?
My hair's making a statement one way or the other. I don't know.
It just shows what?
You do appreciate people who, again, going back to your first point, ask genuine questions.
And they're into you.
Speaking in the dating world, you know.
Well, yeah, if you were to date Darren, but if you were
to date Darren, is that what you're saying?
No, that can't happen.
Oh, okay,
and we've talked about that on the show. But part of this is curiosity says that I'm into you. And if I'm into you enough to care, to question, to notice, how many times have you done your hair differently and nobody's noticed? How many times has a woman gone home, had her hair completely done differently and her husband didn't even notice? That lack of curiosity is kind of it's a bad thing. So if you want to have a better conversation, show curiosity. Get into them. Where did you do that? How do you do that? How do you keep your life so together? Be positive. Show them what you love about it.
It's sort of one of those rules like from dating when they say, you know, ask 3 questions for every one they ask you or whatever. And if you turn to the other person, then you're never going to have a lull in the conversation.
That's right. Well, ideally, sure, right?
Yeah.
Third rule, be present. How many times have you just not been present in the conversation? For me, some of the funniest things that have ever been said, or that I've even thought of saying in a moment, is they came from the moment. And if you're in the moment, there's a lot of funny stuff going on in the moment. There's a lot of good stuff that comes out. A lot of the best topics will come out of a conversation that you're having just with a friend. And if you listen, you'll hear like another message being said. And then that's where you can take it deeper. Or be present also means be in today. There's so many stories that are going on right now. Think of how many interesting news stories are going on that could easily be brought up in a conversation. The story with the Reno Air Show. I mean, that's tremendous. What if you're at some sporting event and that all goes down? And all of a sudden you're dealing with that. That's an interesting conversation. Or the Powells, the Susan Powell's story. I mean, there's stuff going on constantly. So read the news, read the newspaper. That's one of the things in our business is you're constantly reading. And so I think it makes you more interesting because you know what's happening. You know what's going on. Like there's a new show on KSL coming out tonight. Have you heard of it?
I think I have.
What's it called?
We Are Utah.
We Are Utah. And it's going to be fascinating.
Thanks for that.
Just trying to be real.
But that's a good point to seek out pieces of information so that you are an interesting person, interesting pieces of information, so you become an interesting being.
And what makes a good conversationalist is so subjective, but if you have somebody that's a really good conversationalist, it usually means that they can carry their own side of the conversation and they can help you carry yours. So if you have a lot of topics and a lot of stuff you can bring up, and we'll talk about the last one is to be balanced. We don't want you to dominate the conversation, right? So we want it balanced, but if we're present, we have enough information. Sometimes you want somebody to do a little bit more talking. Sometimes, if you haven't seen someone for a long time, you want them to do the talking. So balance is a bunch of things. We want to make sure we're balancing what we call advocacy, which is me having a position, and inquiring into your position. We've got to balance that. We've got to balance topics, so that my topics and your topics work. Tone. We've got to balance depth. Some people like really deep conversations. Some want shallow conversations. Balance, 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 okay? Curiosity, real, balance, and what was the other one?
Be present. Be present.
Being present.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's creative.
You drifted off there for a second. You weren't present. That's
I forgot that one.
Great stuff.
Fascinating stuff. In fact, you got a fascinating date night coming up. Big news.
This date night is the date night of all date nights, because apparently some people are married to people or just dating people out there that aren't really good at relationships. So we want to help you increase your relationship IQ. This Friday, September 23rd, 7 to 9 o'clock. Go to datenightswithmatt.com. Register, but you got to register like today, because they fill up. Last time we ended up pushing people away.
And I was thinking about that topic after you were here last week, building your relationship IQ. I really like that topic.
You ought to come.
I will be there. So you'll have a breakdown of...
Olivia. Brooke and Olivia are coming all
my date for date night. Does that count?
Bring both.
Okay.
Yeah, just the three of you.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Matt.
So